Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Debbie Fales, Director of Marketing and Communications here at NavCap. Thank you so much for joining our live call. This call is on a monthly basis, and we touch base with brokers to make sure you have the latest information about our loan programs and the broker program in general. Before we begin, I just want to point out that you can submit questions during the talk. If you click on the Chat with Everyone button, it's on the lower right-hand side of the screen. And we'll answer them as we go or at the end of the presentation. And just a side note that we'll be recording this call so that we can make it available to our broker clients who may not have been able to attend today. So now I'd like to introduce our speaker, and today is Lisa Hancock. She is a founding partner and current director of dispositions at MarketPro Homebuyers. MarketPro has been actively buying and selling homes in the Mid-Atlantic area for over a decade, with recent expansion into Florida. Lisa provides a wealth of information about wholesaling and how your clients can use it to their advantage when searching for their next investment project. Now, let me turn it over to our broker liaison, Mitty Rawl, who many of you know already. Mitty.
Hey, thank you, Debbie. And I just want to say welcome and thank you for joining us with another monthly broker call. Happy to have Lisa here on the call, and just thank you for joining us. Just a few things to remind you. Debbie went over these, but this call is recorded, and if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to input them on the bottom right-hand side, the chat box. We will have a question and answer period towards the end of the presentation. If you have any questions at that point, I would emphasize, please feel free to input them in the chat box at that point. Or there is also a raise your hand button. I won't be able to see if you actually physically raise your hand, so please click that if you have a question, and we'll go from there. Got an exciting call this month. One thing I just wanted to show everyone of the states that we lend in, they are highlighted with the green like navigation mark. If you don't have my contact information, my cell phone is 443-228-8182. And my email is mitty@gonavcap.com. If there's anything that you need whatsoever from us, would be happy to help. My role here at Navigator is to help build our business relationships and see how we can do more business together. Now that we've got the nifty map out of the way, I just wanted to run through a few things that we will discuss on this call today. We're going to discuss, many of us as mortgage professionals, we deal with many other professionals in our industry. Wholesalers and wholesale companies are a large part of some of the transactions that we can work with. So I just briefly wanted to discuss what the role a wholesaler has in a transaction, how they come into play, how your client would have interactions with them. Introduce Lisa from MarketPro next. I want to thank her for joining our call and talk about her firm, MarketPro Homebuyers, and what areas they cover, how they have separated themselves from traditional wholesalers or wholesale companies, and discuss how you and your clients can get in touch with MarketPro, how you can find more inventory through them, and some points that you may want to think about and talk with your clients when they are preparing to work with them or a wholesaler in general. After that, we'll have a question and answer period. And to wrap it up at the end, I would welcome any deal scenarios or pricing that any of you may have, and would be happy to get you over some terms today and see if we can work with any of those deals. With that being said, moving into the role that our real estate wholesaler will play into a transaction. Many of our clients have found deals or are looking for deals, and they look through traditional means, aka on-market deals being represented through a real estate brokerage, or finding off-market deals through individuals that they know, or family members, or it's through an estate, something like that. To boil down, what a real estate wholesaler does is they find individuals or sellers who are looking to sell their property. They acquire the purchase rights. They got in a contract with these sellers, and they assign their purchase rights to an end-all buyer. They do this for the consideration of a wholesale or an assignment fee. This can be an attractive situation for both the sellers and the investors, as the seller's selling situation or the situation with the property may be complicated. They just want a quick and easy out. They may have probate or family disputes that they may be looking at. And for our end-all clients, the investors, they're looking typically for properties that they can build equity into through renovating the properties and, eventually holding them or selling them. Or they may have properties that are rent ready and that have an opportunity for them to be a good investment property. So one thing I want to emphasize, no matter what part of a transaction or what part of an industry we're in, real estate in general, relationships and reputation are key. And that holds true for a successful wholesaler or wholesale company. And that's something that we are happy to have a good relationship with a prominent and trustworthy wholesale company like MarketPro itself. Just a few more points on, real estate wholesalers and the role they play. Our lending products, no matter if it's a short-term fix and flip, a long-term rental, a buy, fix and hold, probably won't be a new construction, but also a bridge product. All of those products will work with wholesalers. If you have worked and brokered with other large, either hard money or private money lenders in our sphere, some of them have strict restrictions on working with wholesalers, or they won't work with wholesalers. That is something that you don't have to worry about when you're working with us. I will tell you that typically we will finance up to 10 to 15%, depending on the deal and the borrower, of the original contract price into our financing calculation for our borrowers. If you have more questions on that and how that would look like in a real life scenario, a real deal, please feel free to ask me. I'm happy to break that down further. Now that we have displayed and explained the role a wholesaler has in a real estate transaction, I want to introduce Lisa Hancock, Director of Dispositions with MarketPro Homebuyers, a founding partner of MarketPro Homebuyers. And Lisa, I just really want to say thank you for joining the call, and we appreciate the opportunity to work with you again and the relationship that we have.
Yeah, thank you for having me. We've been wholesaling for about 7 years. But before that, we flipped houses for 5, and we did over 300 flips, and all of those properties we purchased from real estate agents. So like you were saying before, how relationships is what really builds the business. I agree 100%. I do believe and still protect and build up the relationships that we have with agents. And most of my best buyers are either agents or somebody who represents a very good investor. And we've been doing business together with NavCap for 7 years. So thank you for having me, and thank you for the great relationship that we have, with investors as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't mind, I just want to ask you a few questions about yourself. Nothing crazy. I just want to ask you, you have an accomplished and experienced background in our industry. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with MarketPro and as a founding partner?
Okay, well, that's a great question. So like I said, we started business in 2012. It was a very small operation. The owner and partner, Jeanette and Danny, and we started off flipping houses and out of her house, actually. And now that has eventually expanded out to, I think we have 40 plus employees at this time. Yeah, so I think last year we did over 500 transactions of wholesaling.
Wow.
and I have a pretty extensive background in construction before that, and also in mortgage banking for 11 years, and a long time ago in the 90s. So
Right.
it's all in the same field.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that insight. Um, for our individuals who are on the call, you are the director of dispositions.
Mhm.
For them, what does that mean? What do you do with
Okay,
Market?
so I'm actually the one that's in charge of selling all the properties, setting up the process. I do have a team that's underneath me. Steve runs the Philadelphia area. When we get too many deals, or if I try to take a vacation day, Nikki Kornblatt also comes in and steps in to assist. But otherwise, I mean, last month we closed, I think, 64 deals last month. DC,
Wow.
Maryland, Virginia, Florida, Philly. So, you know, uh, we're on a path right now, even though the market has slowed down, we have not slowed down. I mean, obviously we're dealing with distressed sellers, and that pocket doesn't really change.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you wouldn't mind, I want to move forward to Market Pro itself
Mhm.
and what you do and what separates you from other wholesalers in your industry. I mean, Market Pro has been one of the most, if not the most successful wholesale companies in our immediate area and region. What separates Market Pro from other wholesalers that our clients may get involved with or may see?
Mhm. So, I think that wholesaling depends who you talk to. Some people have had a bad transaction or something like this. Like I said, we're doing over 500 properties a year. You don't see our name plastered everywhere. I
Right.
speak at presentations like all over the country, actually. Um, I think there's a bunch of answers, but I will say it to you like this. I mean, like I said, we have respect for the relationships that we've built in the industry. We have respect for our sellers, respect for our buyers. We do what we say and we mean what we say. One of the big things that's really changing in the wholesale market right now is, you know, we put out our marketing and we are contacted by a distressed seller, right?
Sure.
For some reason, they don't meet the bucket of going the traditional route. It could be that they're hoarders. It could be that they're probate and they live out of state and they don't know what to do. And they came to clean their grandparents' house and saw the mailer, something that we have. We have different types of issues with, elderly people, and then they have other family members that won't leave. They don't know how to handle the transition. How did they get out of that house and into someplace new? There's a whole bunch of scenarios that we help with. We've helped people find homes for their animals. I mean, there isn't anything that we would ever turn away. And I say, even though I work directly with the investors, I have no problem always telling the investors, look, on the other side of this table, it's great that you're flipping the house or adding to your rental portfolio, but on the other side of this table is a distressed seller, right? So be respectful and be grateful that we have this opportunity. Um, we handle on the transaction side. Transaction coordinators, they'll handle the probates. We move people. I mean, I just kind of gave a bunch of examples. I don't think there's really that many people in this industry that care so much for the sellers and really give all that we do to help the seller get out of that house.
Yeah.
That is the hugest thing. And when I say our transaction team is amazing, they really are amazing. What they do for the sellers. Then the other thing is, it's consistent. We've obviously built this big network, that we have, like with the movers or elder care. We also have direct links with elder care. So this is all the things that we do for the sellers, which is why people gravitate towards us, right?
Yeah.
On the flip side with me is with the investors. I mean, that's what I work. I work directly with the investors, and what we provide for the investors is, like I said, we flipped houses for 5 years. I have 300 houses we flipped. I have an extensive contractor list. I have connections. I have you guys, right? So if anybody's wondering, hey, I want to do my first deal. I'm not sure how to do it. I've got you guys also in my pocket that can take care of the financial aspect. A lot of that is just being a pillar in the community, doing what we say what we mean. And also any deal that you see on our website, we are always direct to seller with contract. I think that's the biggest change that has happened in the past 2 years. Like, these people are taking like wholesaler classes without this big infrastructure that we have behind us. And they think they know how to wholesale a property. They don't. And a lot of times, you don't know who you have to say, are you actually a contract holder? Because there's a thing called daisy chaining. I don't know if you guys know about it, but it's like it goes through all these hands, or they may see an ad that we have and then they put it out to a list that they bought, but they never really have the contract. You have to be very careful about that. And because your end buyer is wondering, well, what's really going on here? So anybody that you bring to us, anybody that you bring us as an investor, or that is looking for rental properties or whatever it is, just be aware that we are taking care of the seller, and we have all of these other relationships built to make sure that the investor has as much success as possible. Long
Absolutely.
answer. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. And absolutely, we're, coming from the financing side of it, we're definitely going to have to see the full chain of contracts, and we've definitely experienced that. One state that always kind of gets us wrapped up is Georgia. They've got double, triple, quadruple closing. So yeah, there's definitely been some interesting ones that we've seen throughout that. One thing I did want to ask you is, you're in our local DMV area, including Pennsylvania. You've expanded out to Florida with Orlando and Tampa areas. Are there any areas that you anticipate you moving into next?
Yeah, we've had great success with the Florida areas. We started off with Tampa, and then 3 months later, we launched Orlando. I think that, as a company, I think as long as the success keeps going, we have a pretty well-oiled machine at this point. I'm sure in the next coming year, there will be a couple more expansions, at least in Florida. If maybe the different coast or something like that. And we do intend to keep going.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Well, here's some more continued success here, and hopefully we, can both have markets that we both work in, and continue to work together with that. I wanted to move over now, how our clients and our brokers' clients can get in touch with you and work with you to find inventory. Is the best route for them to do that through your website, marketprodeals.com?
Yep. So if you go to the website and you actually enter your profile information, which is literally name, email, and phone number, then you'll start to get the deals sent directly to you. We have a pretty fast process. A deal will come in. If it comes in after 4 o'clock, we wait till the next day. But as soon as we go under contract with the seller, usually that deal is out to the public same day or within 24 hours. And it is a very fast turnaround. So I recommend, if you're kind of waiting, like, oh, I saw a deal, or I'm not going to call Lisa. If you don't act on it, most of the time the deal is sold. So best way, marketprodeals.com. Put in your profile information. You'll get a text and an email every time we get in a new property.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. And when our clients, or when one of our clients that we have a relationship, wants to submit an offer with you, how should they come prepared? Do they need a term sheet? Do they need a proof of funds letter? Do they need proof of income or bank statements? What does that look like for them to meet the threshold when they're trying to submit an offer?
That's another great question. So if you're entering an offer for an investor that you're working with, obviously you need proof of funds letter. And the other thing that you would need is if they're putting it into LLC, we would need LLC docs. If they're keeping it in their own name, just a copy of their driver's license. We have a really easy process as far as entering offers, and our whole system is automated. So as long as you have your proof of funds letter and it's updated, you know, you're in good shape.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And, you know, for any of our broker partners on this call, you can get access to our proof of funds letters right through our web portal. Pilar, I will open it up and see if you
Yes,
have any
I
questions.
would like to know. Yeah, I would like to know if you can repeat the website that we need to go in for this.
Yep, Pilar, I'm going to send out a recording of this call. And if you want to repeat it again, it's marketprodeals.com, but we'll send it over in an email after the call. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you.
Few other questions I have for you, Lisa. You know, you've touched on this with the last couple questions, but anything that our investors should be aware of or look out for in particular when working with a wholesaler, I would say, other than yourself?
Yes, that's actually another great question. So some points that not everybody may know about working with a wholesaler, how it's different than an average MLS deal, may be something good to talk about because it is a little different.
Sure.
Yeah, so the number one thing is that buyers pay all closing costs. So there's no split on transfer and recordation tax like there is in a typical MLS deal. That point kind of comes from, you know, the sellers are distressed. They come to us, you know, with a number. Look, I need to get 150,000 out. I need 10,000 to move on to my next new life. Well, we can't say, okay, well, you're going to have to pay transfer and recordation, right? We have no way of knowing what that's going to be. So that's why buyers pay all closing costs. Hopefully that makes sense. The other thing is that the sellers are not required to clean out the property. That's the main difference. Like when you buy something on the MLS, you have to deliver as a seller a broom swept property and in good condition. A lot of times, like I said, you know, another scenario is that a seller is moving to elder care. They obviously are moving from a house they've been living in a long time to a very small apartment, and they are allowed to leave belongings behind. So those are two big things to factor. You know, we always guarantee clear deed and vacant property.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, understood. So that's definitely something that they should be aware of, and something that we should just prep them for. I mean, keeping that relationship and keeping the open door with that. Absolutely. Last question I have for you here is, when you're weighing offers, when offers are coming in, what is the most heavily weighted? Is it experience with MarketPro? Is it the end all bottom line offer number? Is there a separate category or separate factor that weighs on when you're gonna, whose offer you're gonna accept?
Got it. So I am very particular because basically I'm trying to find the best buyer for the seller. So sometimes highest offer doesn't always win the deal. We do tend to look for the highest offer, but I also vet everybody. So I need everybody's proof of funds letter. If they're, like I said, if they're going in LLC, I need to have current LLC docs, everything in good standing. And obviously, the biggest deal to us, like if this elderly person is going to be moving and they need this deposit going into their next scenario, we've got to close on time.
Sure.
So I'm very specific. As you guys know, there's not a lot of lenders that are in the MarketPro bubble. You guys obviously are one of our top, you are our top lenders. So having that is a big deal as far as us knowing that the deal is going to get funded on time and we're not going to have any issues. So there's a couple of varying things.
Sure.
Obviously, a strong offer, make sure that everything's entered, and working with a lender that we highly approve.
Absolutely. I mean, in our space and just in general, we all want to work with people who are going to be able to perform and get the job done. So I can completely understand that. Lisa, I really want to thank you for joining us here with this call. If you don't mind, I'll have a quick question and answer period.
Of course.
Anybody can answer or ask any questions to either of us.
If I could jump in here for a second. Lisa, thanks again for coming in. This is Rick Roll. One of the things I want to stress is Lisa, they're very concise with what they want. The deals either work or they don't. We move on to the next buyer or what's going to make sense. But one thing I can stress, the numbers always work. I mean, when we're lending on these, it's fair. We don't tell MarketPro what they're doing. They don't tell us what we're doing. But what I can tell you is when we have a buyer and they're looking to either buy and hold it or they're looking to renovate it, the numbers are there. There's always a profit margin or there's always an incentive. That's one of the first things I noticed in this, because you do hear horror stories of wholesalers and the daisy chaining, and it's terrible. It doesn't work out for anyone. But the things I will say that's paramount to them is, does it make sense? Is it good business? And our reputation matters. And that's for everybody involved in this. So thank you. One of the things I do want this call, we do have a lot of brokers on here, but we do have quite a few realtors on. And, there's not much in the way of listings now. And if you could, from the broker standpoint, people we're doing business with, not real estate brokers, but if you have realtors that you're dealing with, you need to let them know that there's available properties. And it's obviously a good footprint that you're working in. So it's not just one area, it's the whole DMV, Florida, Pennsylvania. But what type of incentives, or how do you work with realtors, and how can they get involved in this? Because they're looking to make transactions work too.
This is a great question. My answer is a little bit bigger than a quick answer. So when the change happened in the market industry, what we did as I work with, and I know a lot of agents, right? And the business went down. So we actually started a realtor campaign to kind of say, hey, we're here. If you can reach out to somebody that you know as an investor, we can help you. Okay. I think that helped. And when I'm talking probably around last fall, a year ago, when everything really started to slow down. So we are very open to realtor relationships. Again, it's going to be a little different. First of all, okay, say I'm speaking to the realtors right now, right? Usually in a typical MLS deal, you make your percentage of commission, and if you're bringing the buyer, and the listing agent does too. So if you're bringing me a buyer and they're going to either fix and flip or buy and hold. So if they're going to fix and flip, there's a couple of options that you can have. You can put money on top, have a conversation with your buyer and say, look, inventory is really low. We can't find anything on the MLS right now. But I do have an in with a new group of listings. Like I just told you, we sold 64, I think, deals last month. So we have consistent inventory. And whatever deal you work out with your buyer is your deal that you work out with your buyer. I support you 100%. You say, I charge my buyer 1%. They are paying it. It is on top. Okay. So if you're putting an offer for your buyer, we have a property at 200,000, and you make a deal with your buyer that I'm going to do everything. I'm going to provide the CMAs. I'm going to help you with your renovation and gear you to get the best amount of after renovated value for your property. I'm only going to charge you 1%. Okay, so then you get the information. You're going to get the proof of funds from MIDI. You're going to get their LLC docs, and when you enter the offer, it's going to be 202. 1% goes to you. And then very easy in the notes section, you just write, 2,000 is my fee payable to Jessica or payable to Keller Williams or payable to Long and Foster. The only thing that we really specifically ask is that you follow the rules and regulations of your brokerage. Okay, so there's a couple of ways, and I can go into, anybody's free to give me a call where I can go into your specific situation. And then some people for fix and flips, some agents do not charge. They have a mutual agreement with the buyers that they will get the listing once the flip is done. Best thing to do is keep their costs down and get 3 investors that are listing 1 a quarter, and all of a sudden you're listing 12 properties a year. I have been pitching this. I've been doing this for 7 years. I've been pitching this for about 5 years to agents. And like I said in the very beginning, my best buyers are agents or agents with investors. Okay, so that's kind of, I know this is about the loan aspect, but I'm helping to just build business all around. And I think that that's always positive. Now, obviously, if you have rental buyers that are doing like a DSCR loan or a rental loan, you need to charge on the upfront. But with a fix and flip, it's really up to you.
Okay.
So there's a lot of information there. Just to let you guys know, we support wherever you're coming from.
Like I said, that makes a lot of sense, because it's not, the agents have buyers, the brokers have agents that they're dealing with, and everybody's looking to make the deal work. But a lot of people, realtors, because I'm also a licensed broker, treat it, like I'm not dealing with that. But it's a great avenue, and like you said, you have to work within your broker of record, whoever your manager is, how they want you to handle this, but the deal's going to close and you're going to get paid. And right now, that's really the key stuff for us to think about is, how do we do good work? How do we get to the settlement table? How do we get paid? So, okay. Do we have any other questions at this point?
Debbie, do you see anything? Pilar, did
Nothing
you
in the
raise
chat.
again?
No questions so far.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
I'd like to know about, I don't know if I misunderstood about the rental. If I have a client who like to rent a property, can we do that with you?
Who wants to rent the property itself and not buy it?
Yes. Yes. How that? I think I misunderstood what he was explaining.
Yeah. So, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think that's more like a property management company where we are the ones, if somebody's buying, is interested in starting a rental portfolio, you can buy from us, clean it up, and then, either hire a property management company to list it, or an agent, or do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right. But I think what you're saying is you're not in the rental business. You're in the sale business. So your property's listed on your site or for sale, not for
Sale.
rent.
Correct.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Hey, Isaac, how you doing?
Doing well, Mitty. Hi, Lisa. Question for you: when it comes to inventory, are you only providing single family, or do you provide any other assets as well?
We'll take anything that's got meat on the bones, I guess you could say, for an investor. So single family homes, condos, townhouses. I mean, sometimes we'll do a duplex depending on, we don't do a lot of multifamily. It's just because they come around so few. I have done a couple in DC area myself, Trinidad, and it's an easy one. It's like a 4-unit. Right now in Philly, we have a 3-unit. So, every once in a while we get the multifamilies, but generally it's just, basic townhouse, condos, single family homes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Did have one question about Florida for you, Lisa.
Sure.
So you have that swath going across. Can you get into why you chose that? Is it because of contractors or contacts? Is that why that geographic area is the focus you're looking at now? And I think you said you're going to expand. Where do you think that would be in Florida if you do
Mhm.
that?
So Tampa, when they did, it's like a data scientist, right? That kind of takes a look at everything to see what's the trending area. I mean, obviously, Fort Lauderdale, Boca, all Miami is really hot, but to start, you really want where the most transactions are. It's kind of like you also want an area that has, like where an area that can be gentrified, right? A lot of the area in Tampa has a lot of potential, plus a lot of young people are moving into that area. The city's built up. So I can't specifically speak to the numbers, except that I know that a lot of research was done before we decided to make that move. Moving into Orlando, which we did 3 months later, a lot of research was also done, but it's a completely different area, right? It's more of a rental area. So, we're getting buyers from all around the country. It's not just Florida buyers that are interested in purchasing properties in Orlando. It's very interesting. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, but there's different needs for different areas in Florida. So obviously when we go over towards West Palm or Jacksonville, there's going to be different areas. West Palm people are probably going to be buying for second homes or for high-end rentals. So what you're looking for changes. But for now, like Tampa, we did basic fix and flip. That was our goal. Moving into Orlando, we priced basic fix and flip or an easy rental. Right. Right now we're not looking at things over 450,000. It's just a little different area. So we will continue on. I'm going to imagine it's going to be on the other coast, but you never know. I think there's also talks of moving down into the Sarasota area and expanding that portion as we got another acquisition guy in Orlando. It changes, like it's consistently changing. We're always looking to improve our business. Never stagnant. That's for sure.
Got it.
Hey, Lisa, this is Melody Goodman. Quick question. Are most of your properties in need of like full guts, or do you get some that are livable sometimes?
Another great question. I will tell you guys something funny. Usually the ones that are the worst looking get the most offers, right? But there's something else that I have tried to sell to my investors for quite a while called like wholesaling, right? So it's kind of like a wholesale retail, right? So sometimes they just need to go in to flip it and maybe, replace the carpet, swap out stainless appliances, do a fresh coat of paint where it doesn't really need a lot of work to get it back on the market. Right now, we have a DC property that is extremely clean, and we just did a great price drop on it. So, it's not generally what we see in DC is something that the investor wants to come in and do a complete full renovation to the studs, but this one is clean enough that you don't always need it. So as long as like I said, we've got some meat on the bones for an investor. Don't forget the person that purchased our flips in 2012 is still the person that approves every single deal that we present. We have a huge knowledge of what it costs to flip a house or get it up to par to get to at least the ARVs that we're looking at. So both. So horrible properties in bad condition like you can't imagine, but then we'll also pick up something as long as it looks like it could be a good rental or an easy fix and flip.
Great. That's super interesting. On these more clean properties, are you looking for a buyer that's got like the cash or the hard money, or do you sometimes entertain buyers that have just like regular old conventional financing?
So as far as conventional financing with us, it's an assignment of contract. So it's not something that we're really looking for because it's actually not allowed, right? Unless we did a double close. And like we're saying, we like to just go straight to, now, obviously, if we can't close it, and you've got a conventional buyer, we would entertain it, but then the cost is going to go up because we'll have to close it ourselves and then resell with a conventional loan. So it really depends. I know that there's a lot of really good products that have come out on the commercial side in the past 2 years, that can work well. You'll be amazed. So it's always worth a talk to MIDI to see if we can get that end user, I guess is what we call them on our side, into a different type of loan.
Lisa, and thank you, Melody. That's a good question. But one of the things that we're all into is doing good business and getting to close quickly. So on the average deal that if you're a realtor on maybe 30 days, 45, 60 days. And that means you're waiting to get paid as a realtor and or if a broker, waiting for us to fund it. That's not us because we're not 45 to 60 days. But what would you say is your ideal turn time? Once you list that property, you take the offer, how soon do they need to get closed? Which also means for everybody on the call, how quick do you get paid?
Yeah.
So what's that typical turn time?
So one of the reasons why I was very strict with saying when you make an offer, we need your proof of funds and we need the LLC docs and they need to be in good standing and everything together is because our turnaround is very fast. Like, there's 30 days in a month and 20 business days and we're selling 64 deals on average last month. So it's a quick turnaround. And a lot of the deals, are distressed deals. Like I have one right now that's closing on the 15th that I'm looking for a buyer. But I also have another one where they're moving to North Carolina and it's not closing till the end of the year.
Right.
There's always monuments that the sellers have. I want my kids to finish school. I want to spend Thanksgiving in my house one more year. Or I'm up for tax sale next week. So another good reason, if you have an investor that's interested, go get the proof of funds now. Have them submit the paperwork so that you're not like bringing a brand new buyer to MIDI and saying, Lisa's taking offers only until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning and I need something and it's 11 o'clock, right? So it's good to prepare yourself. Talk to the investors and say, look, I've got this opportunity. I sat and listened to this scenario or whatever it is and get them pre-approved. I don't think on MIDI, and Rick, I don't think that your process is too in-depth to be able to give them that proof of funds letter, but it's a necessity for us. So like I said, it can be, I'm closing in a week, I'm closing in 3 months.
Right.
Everything is the needs of the seller. So preparation is key.
Right. And one of the things I stress too is, it's not just the investor side of this. We have people who will buy the properties and we know that they're going to turn them into primary residences because there's no inventory. So from a realtor standpoint or a broker standpoint, if they're going in to do the repairs to the property, we can provide the funding for that. They just need to refinance out before they get done. So with no inventory, if you're looking for primary residences, it's not just exclusive to investors here.
Yes.
You get somebody, this is what you need to do work to it. And we can do the acquisition for it. And then they can turn around and do the work with us or just buy it and then turn around and refinance and do a conventional loan if they wanted to. So I think that's another good way to look at this is it's not just for investors. Primarily it will be, but it's also a good opportunity for them.
Yeah, that's key for the bridge product or even the fix and flip product. There's no prepay. So we're under a tight time frame. We need to get these deals done. We serve that role and it just really depends on what the borrowers are looking to do. Absolutely.
That is a key. That's a key thing I would like to just say. Like some people are very specific. They want a certain school zone. I'm talking, for a regular loan. But, they're looking to renovate it. They want to add a second story or they're open to that. I personally did exactly what you're talking about. I had a house in Bethesda. The renovation was too steep. I took the hard money loan and refied into a 30-year conventional. So this is great that you guys have this product and are willing to do it because it kind of opens another door for the realtors.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I do want to keep it a little bit to the time frame here. Lisa, I really appreciate you coming on and appreciate the relationship and the business. and looking forward to working with you more in the future. And again, thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Feel free. Maybe you can leave my phone number if anybody has any questions.
Okay, absolutely.
Yes, please.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for your time.
Bye-bye.
Debbie, I know we're running a little bit over, but I want to emphasize if anybody has any deal scenarios, anything that they want to get priced out, please feel free to put it in the chat or email me directly, and I'm happy to get you pricing over on those deals today.
Okay.
With that being said, Debbie, we got anything else?
I don't think so. I don't see any other questions coming in. I will be sure to send out the replay of this call. So as soon as we have that available, I'll send that out. So, and if you have any questions, we're always here to answer
Well,
them.
One thing before we go, I can see we have a group of realtors still on the phone with us, which is the key component. I mean, obviously, this call was originally derived to be, we're focused on our broker business, but from the realtor standpoint, we do business with them with realtors. The key component is they like to close in 2 or 3 weeks, and you have to negotiate your fee with them, but with little to no inventory. If your borrower has cash, your buyer has cash, they'll pay your fee. Now, obviously, that's got to go to your brokerage. You're splitting that, however that works out for you, but it closes in 2 to 3 weeks. And if it's going to be a flip and you get the listing on the back end, depending on the rehab, you could have another listing in 3-4 months, and you're getting, full boat or whatever you negotiate up front. We don't tell you what to do, and obviously we can't and we won't, but I think that's a good thing for you to think about with this is check their website out, look at their properties. They're obviously not in MLS. There's no cooperation, so they're not paying you anything, but they will, if you negotiate it with your buyer, they're going to pay. And since there's no inventory, it's another, tool in the tool chest for you to try and get some money right now. So that's all I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to thank everybody for joining, and thank you for taking the time today. And you're more than welcome to join any future broker calls. We're going to start setting up a call specifically for realtors, probably not next month, the following month. So we'll send out invites for that, and more than welcome to join us. And we appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah, nobody else is on here, so you're the only ones to know this. Next month, we're working on a big one with Home Depot. So we'll see where we can have specific pricing for their contractors for doing renovations and getting them on here. So should be a good call. So, but you all are welcome. Thanks so much for joining.
Thanks.